Hey y'all, this is phase, I don't know, 2, I guess, of us planting the in-ground space on this video. But let me just tell you this. Your girl is hurting, okay? This is the day after the big planting day. When I tell you I could barely move, I did not sleep well last night. I woke up this morning, I am walking like I am 85, and I am not 85. Today is actually my birthday, and I'm grateful to see another year. But let me tell you, I am hurting. So it has been a wonderful day. I had plans but didn't have plans. They were loose plans. But I just woke up and was like, I'm going to do what I want to do, when I want to do it, how I want to do it. And that's what I've been doing all day. I'm just what I want to do when I want to do it. If I want to take a nap, which I did that. Go somewhere for breakfast. The only thing was my requirements that I was not cooking anything. I was not doing anything that I did not want to do, and I was not taking care of anybody else. That is birthday present enough for me. But on this video, I'm just out here for like maybe an hour or so, because the family is going to take me out to dinner. Just because we didn't finish, I have to go out of town. May is a really crazy, busy month for us. I'm out of town literally every week in the week of May, either for my work or my husband's. So I gotta just take every opportunity I can to just move this stuff along and to get it done. So I'm coming out here and I'm gonna try to use my stool because that bending from the waist, not a good idea. Would not recommend if you are 40 and up. So I'm gonna go out here and see which rows I can finish and get done. And my husband's gonna come out here and try to start getting the drip ready. Last night we had to kind of just water with the hose pipe, but we could not get everything really well just because the space is so big. We could not get everything the way that we wanted. So the goal is to get the drip reconnected so that it will be on tonight. There is a 40% chance of rain tonight as well, so hopefully that will help. But I gotta get as much of this stuff out as we can. I don't know if you can see all this behind me. These are all the trays I still have left. Let me just get to it. If you're new here, I'm in Tennessee. I'm in Zone 7B. We are planting our in-ground garden space. It's 4,000 square feet. We're probably 75% of the way done. If you saw the previous video, you saw that we had friends come out. We call it our annual planting day. And so I'm just out here to do what I can in the next hour to try to get it done. I won't get it all done, but at least let me get another row or so done. So I'm about to get busy. 10 more corn. So this is the most corn I've ever planted, but I have a lot left over. I thought I saw somebody coming. I have a lot left over, and so I originally started with 15 in each row, 2 rows of 15. Now I have 2 rows of 20. That's the most I've ever done. I hope it is a blessing and a reward and not a regret. I love corn. I have not been that successful at growing it. This is my, I think, 3rd time trying it. I did get corn last year, but I waited too long to pick it. It looked good, but when I got it in the house, it was too tough. It was like really chewy. And so I'm assuming that I waited too late to pick it. Even though it looked good on the vine. So I did have corn. So I made a little progress last year. The year before that, like half of the kernels weren't there, it didn't pollinate as well. This last year I had better pollination, but it was really tough. So it wasn't really edible. I mean, you had to chew a ton. So anyway, we're going to try it again. I love corn. So if this works, if you give me all your corn tips. I know that they're heavy nitrogen feeders. So again, because this paper was not up before, we did not side dress it with nitrogen. We are putting some nitrogen amendments in the hole, but I'm going to go through probably in the next few days, probably by the end of the week, and I'll fertilize with just a liquid nitrogen fertilizer that I use that's called Revive. It is a high dose of nitrogen, so I'll probably do that for that and some other things out in the garden. But whatever corn tips you have, if you have been successful at growing corn, leave me all your tips right here or send me an email, especially about when to pick it, what I need to be doing, all that good stuff. And I know that you're supposed to supply it with nitrogen, I think, once it starts tasseling, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, so I started with that. I think next I'm going to go to row 7 because it's pretty much 90% done. I think we got 4 or 5 holes left at the end. So let's head down there and see what we can do. So that way we can check that row off as 100% complete. So let me figure out what I can put at the end of that row. It's just extra space. So in row 7 right now are our spicy peppers. We have jalapeno, serrano, Thai red chili, sriracha, cayenne, paprika, habanero, sugar rush. And so that is all filled with that. So, and I think we're going to put some sunflowers down there if I haven't already. But I think there's like 5 or 6 spaces. So let's see how much we have left and we'll complete that row. Okay, so that row is complete. So I filled it up. I added 1 more paprika to finish out the peppers on this row. I added 2 eggplants and then 3 zinnias. And so I had 6 spaces. So that row is complete. So right now, in terms of everything that is complete, I think is this row, second row. Let me just keep going. So the next thing I'm going to do is, my husband's out here fixing the drip lines. I'm going to try and attempt to use the auger. It's fully charged to dig these holes for the tomato row. Remember on our last planting video where we were trying to do it, the battery kept going dead, so we didn't get the whole tomato row done. So that's the next big priority. So I'm going to go through, use the auger, make all the deep holes, and then we'll go from there. You can see that auger makes the hole really deep, which is what you want for tomatoes. Okay guys, that auger made the work light and easy. That worked really well. And while I had battery, so I did the whole tomato row, and then while I had battery juice, I went ahead and did the row behind me that wasn't done. Instead of me trying to use a shovel, I'm like, I still got battery juice. Let me do boom, 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 boom. Of course, I didn't make those holes that deep. So I am on the tomato row. I have been working my way through. Let me. So basically, that's the beginning of the tomato row, and I'm pretty much, I would say 75% done of the row. You can kind of see that there. So I probably have maybe 12 more holes to do, and that row will be finished. I'm just going to keep plugging along, and that's going to be a huge accomplishment to get this tomato row done. Again, one of the reasons with tomatoes you want to plant deep is that they grow roots along the stems. And so you want those roots to be really sturdy, really strong as the tomatoes start to grow. Because, you know, the tomatoes are going to grow. They can get up to, 7 or 8 feet if you're doing indeterminate tomatoes. So if you're new to gardening, let me talk for a second about the different 2 types of tomatoes. There are indeterminate tomatoes and determinate tomatoes. So for indeterminate tomatoes, those are the tomatoes that, so if you think about the word indeterminate, it does not have a determined height. And so those tomatoes will put on tomatoes all throughout the season, all summer long, and they will grow to a height. It can be anywhere from 7 to 9 feet. And so they keep producing tomatoes all season long, versus a determinate tomato has a set amount of tomatoes it's going to do. So they put all their tomatoes on at one time and then it's done. They do not usually get that high. They're usually more of a bush variety, or they may get, 4 feet or something like that. They don't get as tall as 7 to 8 feet because they put them all on at the same time. Most of the tomatoes that you're going to buy in the store, like Home Depot, Lowe's, and the nursery, are going to be indeterminate, right? And so 80% of the tomatoes that I do are indeterminate. The only determinate tomatoes that I normally do are Roma tomatoes, which is a paste tomato. So, and I'll usually put a lot of those in my raised beds in the back, just because they're not going to get real tall. And I don't have the cattle panel back there usually. Usually I just stake them, although a cattle panel would be a lot easier. I may try that this year, but usually I'll put the paste tomatoes back there. So in this row that I'm planting are mostly indeterminates. I do have 4 Roma tomatoes in this row that are from row 7. They're called Midnight Roma. It's a brand new tomato to me, so I'm curious to see how it does. But everything else in this row is going to be indeterminate. You see we have cattle panel up, so it will grow up along the trellis. And then you'll also see later on this season when we do our tomatoes in the tunnel, you'll see the method that we're going to use to trellis. We use string trellising in the tunnel. We tried that for the first time last year. It worked really, really well. I loved that method, so we'll be doing that again this year, and I of course will take you along and show you that. So I'm going to head back to the tomatoes and finish up this row. Okay, y'all, I got the tomato row done completely done. So I'm glad about that. We have a mixture of tomatoes in here. Dr. Witchy, Big Beef Plus, Beef Steak, Sun Gold, Sunrise Bumblebee, which is a new one for me, Midnight Roma, the Juliet, which is a new one to me, Amish Paste, which is a one that does well every single time. And I don't remember what else, but there's a mixture of tomatoes in here, and I still have tomatoes left, which we still got to do the tomato in the greenhouse once we get the cabbages out. But I'm glad about that. So the next thing I'm going to move on to is row number 2, which is the sweet pepper row, meaning non-spicy peppers. We have, I think, 13 more holes to fill, so I just grabbed some more peppers. We're going to fill that up with more peppers on that row, and then that row will be complete as well. And then I think I'm going to call it for the day. Okay, y'all, we got the pepper row completely done. So I'm feeling good about our progress. I'm about to call it quits. There's a chance of rain, and I need to look up the percentage, but I've kind of just started putting all of our empty trays. You can kind of see here in my utility cart there. And so I've turned them upside down in case it starts raining. I've tried to consolidate the rest of the trays I have left to make full trays and not a lot of half trays. I still have about 8 trays of plants left, but we have about 2 rows left to be complete, two halves, so probably like a full row, so to speak, probably about 50 or 60 more plants to put in, and then this space will be done. So I think we moved the needle today from 75% complete to at least 85 to 90% complete. Out of the 8 rows, I have at least 6 completely done from beginning to end, and then I have 2 rows, one that's like an extra row, so I hadn't quite planned it out because it was just really extra. After I placed everything else, this was like extra. So I'll put, there's some corn in there, there's some peppers, but I got to fill it up. I probably have 30 more spaces, so I'll figure out what I'm going to put in that row. And then the very last row, which is our watermelon row. Usually I've interplanted watermelon and basil together, but I still have 30 more holes on that one to do. I'm out of watermelon that I started myself. Remember, my watermelon didn't germinate that great. I may have some more in the house. I have to check that. But my watermelon didn't germinate great. So either I'm going to direct sow or just start some more a little, maybe in a week or so, and do like a succession sowing of watermelon. I may do that. So that way all the watermelons are not ripening at the same time, which is not a bad idea. And the watermelons, you want 3 feet between them. So remember, my holes are 18 inches apart. So that's why I'm alternating watermelon, basil, watermelon, basil. I'll look up and also see if there's another companion plant that's good with watermelon to put in those extra holes. But that worked really good last year with the watermelon and the basil. That worked out great. So I'm feeling good about the progress that we made. My husband got 3 lines of drip done. And so I'm going to have to try to water the rest of this by hand until we can get the other drip down. Because, you know, when you put new plants in the ground, you want to make sure they get water. So I'm going to do that real quick and then go up in the house, get cleaned up, change clothes, so I can go out for my birthday. So thank you guys for joining me. If you have not subscribed to my channel, I would love for you to subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. It's going to be cranking this summer. You don't want to miss it. Remember, gardening is a journey. Let's grow together. I'll see you next time, friend.